here's Brody Brazil.
Well, this is certainly quite the interesting predicament now, isn't it? Because normally the reported potential sale of the Chicago White Sox is obviously and definitely a story and an angle that I would be covering and talking about right here on this YouTube channel. You know that. I've already been in this discussion before. But there's a huge twist because one of my good friends is also very much involved in this report and in this potential story. And no, I'm not talking about Jerry Reinsdorf. I don't know him, but you know I'm very close and have been for quite some time with Dave Stewart. Now, to be clear, and I need to square this away from the very beginning, in no uncertain terms, I don't know anything special or unique or privileged about Stu and the White Sox situation. He and I have not talked about this at all. In fact, we were actually supposed to chat yesterday. That didn't happen because he got busy, he got overwhelmed. So to be clear, if I knew something advanced or special or privileged, I wouldn't feel comfortable covering this story. But it's because I don't know anything yet unique about it or from the inside about it. I'm going to talk about it. Now, if that changes, maybe I won't cover this story in as much detail anymore. But for here and now, I feel okay to pass along what's been put out there by The Athletic, by Brittany Giroli, and here's how it goes. Longtime majority owner Jerry Reinsdorf is open to selling the Chicago White Sox. Sources briefed on the matter, but not authorized to discuss it publicly, told The Athletic. They were the first to break this story. The 88-year-old Reinsdorf is in active discussions with a group led by former big leaguer Dave Stewart. The news represents a significant change of stance for Reinsdorf. The oldest majority owner in baseball, Reinsdorf has shown no previous public interest in selling the team, at least not as long as he was around as majority owner. Reinsdorf has said several times that he has advised his heirs upon his death to sell the White Sox and keep the Chicago Bulls, where his son Michael is COO and team president. A little bit more background on Jerry Reinsdorf. He's been the longtime owner, as you know, bought the team for $20 million in 1981. That's certainly been quite the profit since then. He's the second longest active baseball owner, right behind the Steinbrenner family, owning the New York Yankees. He declined comment on this. So did Dave Stewart, declining comment on this when they were reached by The Athletic. But the White Sox and their owner, Reinsdorf, they were recently really trying to push securing a new stadium and a site. It's the 62-acre parcel of land on the South Loop. It's called the 78, and it would be Chicago's 78th neighborhood. So there's the potential new stadium they want to build to move away from Guaranteed Rate Field and the former Comiskey Park, which sat right across the street. They've never changed really locations. I mean, they moved right across the street. Now they want to move a couple miles north, closer to downtown. But they're also coming off the historic worst regular season in Major League Baseball history in modern times. But going back to the 78, they did a pop-up, mock-up of what the baseball field would look like. And just look at that plot of land. Look at that view right on the river. They took a tour of people from downtown on a water taxi. They docked right there at the 78. They brought them over to take some grounders and, I don't know, hit some baseballs on that field. I'm not sure it's a 90-foot diamond or a 60-foot diamond, but it's beautiful. And it gives people the exact idea of what baseball might look like at that 78 site. There's a rendering on the bottom. Problem is, as you're about to find out, all of this comes at a pretty hefty cost because Jerry Reinsdorf was rumored and reported to be asking for somewhere near $1 billion of public funding and assistance to help make this happen. You should also know that the Chicago Bears are desperately searching for a new home to replace Soldier Field right on the waterfront of Lake Michigan. So you've got two Chicago teams, two major teams, asking for public subsidies, or at least implying that they would need that. And the response for that money from Chicago and Illinois officials, that's just not going well. I mean, don't get me wrong. We can all agree. This is beautiful. This would be a great thing. This would be a great idea. It's just, how do we get the money to make this happen, and then who benefits from it in the long term? So I don't know if some of this stalling or some of this being put out there, like, why would they have this initiative to do this, but then also sell the majority interest in the team at the same time. From the Chicago Sun-Times, and this was from several weeks ago before the baseball season was over, lawmakers across the state have uniformly bristled at White Sox owner Jerry Reinsdorf's push for about $1 billion in public funding for the project, including a tax increment financing district, an extension of the 2% hotel tax increase used to renovate Soldier Field, and a new sales tax overlay district around the 78. That's how they would pay for a new White Sox stadium. The team Reinsdorf is currently fielding at Guaranteed Rate Field is closing in on the modern-day Major League Baseball record for most losses in a season, which they accomplished, going 41 and 121 defeats this past season. So that info coming to us from the Chicago Sun-Times. And again, just the political side of this, they're kind of stuck on this. Representative Cam Buckner, a Democrat from Chicago, said, "We want to hear what all these teams, the White Sox and the Bears, have in mind for economic development in the region, but we have yet to see anything on paper about what specifically they're asking for. Till that happens, this is all just really conversation." So the White Sox have a bunch of different things going on. They're also now entering kind of a busy ecosystem in the selling and buying of Major League Baseball teams. Back in March of this year, the sale officially went through from the Orioles' old owners to David Rubenstein for $1.725 billion. So that officially became a transaction in March of this year. And then just a week or two ago, here in October of 2024, the Pohlad family, longtime owners of the Minnesota Twins, they'd owned that team through generations since the early to mid 80s. They have officially announced they are exploring a sale of the Minnesota Twins. And now, about 1 week later, we get this news and report about the Chicago White Sox and their owner, Jerry Reinsdorf, considering the sale and being in these discussions, advanced discussions or conversations. And we'll clarify what that means in just a second. So you're seeing a trend, and maybe the monetary side of baseball and the contracts they had, the television contracts. Now, every team is a little bit different here. The Orioles kind of own part of their own television network. The White Sox also own their own television network. The Twins were part of the Bally Sports networks that are now kind of going away. So they may be a different situation. It's hard to draw the common bond between all three of these teams selling, but this is a lot of teams either sold or up for sale or exploring sale kind of within a several month span. So let's get now into some takeaways here. That report from The Athletic said active discussions, and I'm trying to define what active discussions mean. I mean, what's the difference between active discussions and we're just talking about this? Again, I'm saying this from no specific knowledge. I'm saying this from trying to take one step further from what's been reported. So who's defining it as active discussions? How far along are these? There's a difference between active discussions and advanced discussions, because I think words matter here. Words always matter, but especially in a case like this, active discussions means that two sides are engaging. And again, I don't have any of this confirmed. I don't have anything specific to this situation, but I just want to point that out. So it would mean to me that both sides have had dialogue. I do know, and I can say this, for Dave Stewart, I think with his endeavors in recent times in trying to get an expansion Major League franchise to Nashville, it has been his aim to own a team. Now, I can't speak for him in terms of what the sense might be. Is it to own a team like the Chicago White Sox, buy in, take them over, keep them in Chicago, try and move forward on that site at the 78? I don't know. I cannot say what his intentions are right here. But I do kind of get that sense that, it has been a bucket list type item. He's done so many other things as a player, as a general manager, as an agent. I certainly, I climbed on his back as a broadcaster. He carried me. No, it was a good relationship I had working with Stu on television. So he's done basically it all in baseball. Hasn't managed a team like a major league team. I don't know if he ever wanted to get into that, but I think his ambitions are high, and I do think that owning a team and having that majority role, and by the way, if it were to happen, he would become Major League Baseball's first majority black owner ever. So there is some history to be made. I'll touch on that more in just a second. But I do think it's been in his idea list to be in this role for a Major League Baseball team. Now, again, the efforts in Nashville, which were primarily all about expansion. It was never to relocate a team up to this point. I mean, he had made that very clear because a lot of people said, well, are you trying to move the A's to Nashville? Not that. Not moving the A's to Nashville. But expansion was the deal in Nashville. They wanted to be ready for this. And certainly we can't deny Stu's connections to Oakland. I know a lot of people got very excited and wondered, wait, would the White Sox potentially be coming to Oakland? The A's have just departed. This market doesn't have a team anymore. I'm not here to intensify those thoughts or that rumor at all either. I don't know. I'm just stating the obvious here, okay? I just want to put everything out on the table because I don't know. And I don't want to commit to either any one of these things and lead you on to any one specifically, but I do feel like everything that's on the screen here is pretty much all that's out there. So whether it's staying in Chicago, whether it's the potential of Nashville, whether it's the potential of Oakland, couldn't even begin to tell you. But I do recognize all those thoughts being out there. And again, the history that would be made for Stu, I just feel like what an honor that would be to break that barrier. I mean, I'm his friend. Of course I'm going to say this about Stu. I'd be so proud of him. I'd be proud of anybody, but especially my friend if this were his opportunity to take hold of. And look, I'm not a huge fan of relocation. I'm a little bit sensitive to that in recent times and in this day and age. So I don't even know what's going on here. I don't know the magnitude of this. I don't know how serious this is. I don't know why this came out, how it did, when it did, where it did. It's always, you want to ask yourself, who, what, when, where, why, and how did this all come out? You know, it came out via some source. That's the who. The when was yesterday. It's an interesting time, again, with multiple teams being out there for sale. What is it? Well, it's the sale. We know that. When? Maybe I answered that already. Who, what, when, where? Where will they go and why? I mean, why now? I think that's a big question too. Why now? Why is this coming out right now? So again, I'll reiterate this as many times as I have to. No special knowledge, but this is interesting. I did want to pass it along. I did want to put this on your radar. And if I'm just on the outside looking in, maybe I'll continue to report on it. If I find out any inside information that I can't and won't share because friends talk, then I'll stay away from covering it here. I want to be very fair to all of you that if my personal interests take part in this, I will step away from it. That's it for now. Thumbs up at the bottom down there below for this video. I'd really appreciate that. Helps me, this video, and this channel. Also, real quick before this ends, go down there and make sure you are subscribed to this channel. That way I can definitely see you back here next time.